Shalom, Apostle Achman, back at you with the truth, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem HaKodash. And I'm going to entitle this video, Are We to Hate Our Enemies? Very simple, straight, direct title. And this is based upon, this video is based upon, I was just watching a video that was put up yesterday. This is IUIC Atlanta Patient Saints radio show. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna open another tab. Anyway, they had a guest on, JLP, Jesse Lee Peterson, the winner of the Coon Award given to him by Tariq Nasheed. I remember they had the ceremony a couple years back, some years ago. But Jesse had them shook, especially my main man right here, a thud. He had him shook. He asked you a direct question. I'm right around the 23rd verse. You should be happy he didn't ask you about the MOTB, because what would your answer be? If this guy, Jesse Lee Peterson, asked you, could you please explain Revelation 13, verses 16 and 17? What would your answer have been? Because you do know that the MOTB is the carotid, the chip. Like I said, and I'm hoping that, I know he's gonna watch, because he's gonna use one of his avatars and talk his talk. But boy, you wasn't on fire at all with this guy. The man asked you all, do you hate, talking about, the white man Esau, and then he went into the small hats, and he asked, do you hate? And you went around, the carousel of death, not to answer this guy, because you're, let me, where the hell is this? Okay, I'm over here. Let me open up another tab. He asked you a direct question, and then you guys, even in part one, when we first came, one of y'all brothers said, you're direct to Jesse Lee Peterson, not Jesse Lee Peterson. He said one of the brothers said, or one of the sisters said, no, one of the brothers, I think it was Mama, Deacon, who was that, Malachi, which Jesse Lee Peterson called him Mama. But one of them said you were very direct in your questioning. Well, he asked you a direct question. You should have gave him a direct answer. Okay. Anyway, let me do this. Now you might ask, oh, the way you, Tahar, and the rest of y'all, do y'all hate IUIC? No, we don't hate him. We don't hate him. We might not like him, but we don't hate him because they're Israelites. In other words, it's just like brothers and sisters, right? All of us experienced this. You went against your brothers and sisters, and your brothers and sisters came against you. You saw your brother or your sister do something, and what did you say? I'm going to tell Mama. And if the brother's older than you, he might beat you up. So it's the same thing with these Israelite groups. At the end of the day, we're all going to come back together, but not now, because you Israelite groups are the groups you're going off. So let me see. Let me go to IUIC. And I'm not in, I don't know what this is all about. I don't know if that was an actual fashion show or a fashion show during the night of the Passover. The Lord never had a fashion show with the apostle or the disciples. Anyway, let me click on this. Okay, no, that's not what I want. I just want to get their opening. Boy. Bear with me for a minute. Let me try this. You know what? Let me do events. Events. I try to catch all the IUIC events. So let me go to this one. Let me go to this one. There's a disclaimer. Okay, it says, we are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ, which is going off on that, is a nonviolent. See, they say hate. We're not a hate group, and we're not about violence. And this came about. When did that come about? What happened? I think it had something to do with vocab and the Southern Poverty Law Center. I believe it was the guy out there in New Jersey that shot up some small hats, according to the news. But we don't know the backside to what really happened, whether he was a real Israelite. Come to find out, according to sources, information, that he was a part of the IJG, say the Israel of ICGJC, right? Which was led by Comfy at that time. I believe he was still alive at that time. He was. So they were pushing this, and then it was all over the media. They were pushing that. See, these guys are a hate group. They'll kill you. They're terrorists. They're this, they're that. They're extremists. They'll use those words. So the IUIC had to come back with, this is a disclaimer. All right. Look up the word disclaimer. Bear with me for a minute. Disclaimer. Oh, this is interesting. World Economic Forum. What do you see here? What do you see here? What do you see here? What is this? A stylized what? You tell me. World Economic Forum. You see that circle go through the 3 O's. And if I do this and I stop, you might say, what was he trying to write? Well, you give me the answer. Anyway, and they're not gonna succeed. Yes, in Job 20. Anyway, let me go to the word disclaimer. Disclaimer. Go to me. A statement that denies something, especially responsibility, an act of repudiating another's claim or renouncing one's own. An act of repudiating another's claim. In other words, they say, well, you're a hate group, you're a hate group. A disclaimer would be, we are not a hate group. We're a truth group, or we're a love group, or we're a prophetic group. So let's come back over here. Okay. So it says, we are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ. And Christ, they need to get, it should be Israel United in Yahushua. So it should be the IUIY is a not, that would be a better, is a non-violent biblical-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. Did they write that right? We advise that if anyone hears of or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, well, that's in Romans 13, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat as stated in Leviticus 5 verse 1, which Leviticus 5 verse 1 says this. I'm going to go to it. Let me do this. Let me do this. Bear with me for a minute. I don't even use Twitter. Let's go to, here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna get into the lesson. I believe that's Leviticus. I already know what it says. I just want to go ahead and read it. And if a soul sin and hear the voice of swearing and is a witness, whether he have seen or known of it, if he do not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity. That's a cut on Athan because he knows about the mark, the MOTB, and he sees that the rest of IUIC is not teaching it, so he's supposed to, curse him out for it, pursuant to this law. Let me see what the second verse says. The first verse is the main one. Or if a soul touch any unclean thing, whether it be of a carcass or an unclean beast, or carcass of an unclean cattle, or a carcass of an unclean creeping thing, and if it be hidden from him, he also shall be unclean and guilty. It says, or if he touched the uncleanness of a man, whether uncleanness it be that a man shall be defiled. Like I said, I made a video that I think Deacon Hakar said that I made a new rule that you can't have sex before the camp. Yeah, because you defiled. You're going around hugging on brothers. If you want to get technical with the law, that you got to stay somewhere. You got to be somewhere. You can't be around nobody. You just had sex. You can't be around nobody. You damn sure can't come to the temple. Be defiled with all, and it be hid, and it be hid from him. When he knoweth of it, then he shall be guilty. You guys. I get a chance to read this whole chapter, but the main one is I wanted. That's what I used. That let me bring that back up. That's why this is, like I said, this is called a disclaimer. So Jesse Lee Peterson, he kept asking them, they talking about the small hats and white people in general, and he kept saying, do you hate them? They couldn't give him a straight answer because of this disclaimer. Now the scriptures say you're supposed to hate and he just got silent. This guy, he hit that one scripture in Sirach and went to sleep. He wanted them to say that they hate so-called white people, and they especially hate the small hats. Well, biblically, can we hate them? Yeah. Does that mean you act on the hate? No, the scriptures say, wait ye upon me until I rise up to the prey. So any Israelite that sees, let's say a small hat, and he goes and hits him in the head, he can get arrested for, that's a hate crime. All right, that's a hate crime. So we're not to touch anybody. The scriptures say, if it at all possible, be peaceful and live peaceably with all men. So you got to watch out who's a part of your gathering, your circle. So he stayed on it. He got them guys shook for a while. He stayed on it because he was trying to get them to say that they hate so-called white people and that they hate the small hats, and they will go around in circles. What you should have did was explain it. Even if you had to say, well, look, if we say that we do, they'll use that against us because we're in the enemy's land. But you would, then you would go to the scriptures. I said, can you hate your enemies? And then you can use the example of Russia and Ukraine. Now, the Russian people and the Ukraine people, they're the same people. Those are either, they look the same. All right? They're not two different races of people. They all go back to Esau, the Edomites. So are they them killing each other? Are they doing it out of love, or are they doing it out of hate? They're doing it out of hate. The Ukrainian people hate the Russian people, even though they're the same race. When you're at war, even Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, I think his real name was Laurie, I forget his name, but he was a real Marine. He fought in the Nam, and he made a statement. He said something to the effect of, I'll quote, I'll try to get the whole quote correct. He said, it's the hard heart that kills. He said, the gun doesn't kill, the rifle doesn't kill. He said, the hard heart that kills, because you got to have the heart to pull the trigger. So that bullet is really coming from you, your heart. I hate this guy, and boom. You see a guy messing with your wife, you might lose it and kill the guy, or kill the guy and your wife. And the case with this guy, Will Smith and Chris Rock, when he went up there and snapped him, he slapped him out of hate, which he was dead wrong. But he follows his wicked ass wife, and the reason why she ain't got no hair on her head is because she committed an act of adultery, or part of the reason, or whatever. Wicked, she's a wicked woman, man. But he's under the control of that wicked woman. Got him all fucked up. And then he hit another brother. What kind of, you done brought back the race. You brought us back another 100 years, man. Anyway, what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna let you hear because I gotta jump around, but you can watch this video, mainly part 2, started about the 23rd verse, and to I stopped at about 36, around there. And this guy, for over 10 minutes, he was trying to get him to say that they hate the small hats, or that they hate, so-called white people. So let me bring out some precepts. Let me, and then another thing he said, JLP said, was why, somehow he switched gears and said, well, why is it that if you are the real people, why is it that these fake people are above you? Well, and they answered that correctly, because we're under a curse. The reason why Jake is out of order. So pretty much everything that Jesse Lee Peterson says about us as a people, for the most part, he's correct on. You know, how often do you see a so-called black man with his wife and they have children, and the man is absent, the man is present with the family, not too much. You do see it, but you don't see it too much. You know, our so-called young so-called black men are completely out of order. A lot of them are gangbangers. They deal with drugs. They get women pregnant, and then they leave the woman. A lot of them are back and forth in the prison system. So they're completely out of order. And that's all a part of the curses. Look, the Ukrainian people are not killing each other. The Russian people are not killing each other. Chinese people are not killing, they're not gangbanging. Chinese against, maybe on a small level, I don't know. But Jake, that's like a part of their goddamn culture. Part of Jake's culture presently is to kill somebody that look like you. So their minds are not right. You don't know that if that man is taking care of a sick grandmother, he just had a kid or he had a baby on the way. What am I looking for? You disregard life like a wild beast. You know, the scriptures say that we're beasts. Let me look that up. And Jake doesn't talk about it. None of these so-called black, you know, the outrage of another cop killed a black man. But what about the so-called black man killing another black man? And it happens every fucking day. Now, let me do it this way. This is a brute beast. Okay, I got to do it this way. I got to put in S or it won't come up. Put in S for beasts. I'm almost positive it's either Peter. Yep, it's in Peter. 2 Peter 2, verse 12. Got to go up a verse or two. Okay, 2 Peter 2, verse 10. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness. Jake is into every wickedness that they could be in, possibly be into. You know, adultery is big in the so-called black or Israelite community. The ones that haven't woken up, they're into, a lot of them are into, the tribes are into popping their own daughters. A lot of them are heavily into adultery. And technically, if you deal with a woman that dealt with another man, that man's still alive, technically you're an adulterer. So we're all adulterers. So in order for you not to be an adulterer, you have to have a virgin. And these women, you know, in the hood and around the world, they start young. It says, but chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness. You know, Jake defiles himself, you know, every day and despise government. Presumptuous are they, self-willed are they, he's talking to Jake, not afraid to speak evil of dignities. When you come against, we represent the dignities because we're representatives of the Most High. So when you speak against us, you're speaking evil against dignities. Then it goes from there to the Son and the Father. It says, with the Heavenly Father, Heavenly Son, whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing accusations against them before the Lord. But these jakes that are in the world that haven't woken up, because when you become an Israelite, like vocab, now these guys are going around saying that they're Israelites. Like, we said we were this, we were that. We were Muslims. Let's be Israelites. Let's be Jews. No, better, let's be Israelites. No, we are serious about this thing because we just had a Passover. We keep the Sabbath. We keep the new moons. We go by the dietary menu. We deal with the morals, the moral issues of the law. We don't commit adultery. So this is not just a thing where we just say, oh, we're the Israelites. What are we going to be next in 10 years? No, we woke up to the fact that we're the Israelites, the fulfillment of Ezekiel 37 chapter and Revelation 11 chapter. And this guy is set up to try to break that thing up. And you can't break it up because it's really just one of you. You got a couple of your ragtag guys, which mainly Jake, but they ain't making videos. And it's you against all of it. Anytime you make one video, let's say 500, hundreds of videos and came out that different Israelites put up. It said, but these as natural brute beasts, he's talking about Jake. Before you come into this truth, you're a natural brute beast made to be taken and destroyed, because ultimately a large number of our people will just be destroyed. The ones that can't get it, the Most High is just taking them out. And so they're gonna suffer the punishment, the same punishment as Esau. It said, but these as natural brute beasts made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not. Like these Kemetic guys. Now these guys are fighting against each other. I was watching a video last night of Jabari and Garfield. They were cursing each other. They were getting personal too. And the same thing with the vocab crew. They're fighting against each other. Shimon calling vocab a coward. They're breaking up. It said, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. Peter is talking to Israelites. And he ain't talking to Esau, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness. If you are an unrighteous person, you're gonna get a reward. That reward is ultimately fire. As they, like John said, I believe that's Matthew, the 3rd chapter. It said, I'm paraphrasing, who said that you will flee from talking to the wicked scribes and Pharisees. He said, who told you that you were going to flee from the wrath to come? I'm paraphrasing. The wrath to come is talking about the destruction. So every prophet, John, every prophet, one way or another, saw the vision, or the major prophets, they saw the vision of just the same vision of the fire, of the mushroom cloud, as Isaiah referred to as the heavens being rolled together as a scroll. He saw the ICBM hitting ground zero. He saw the hypersonic missile system hitting ground zero. It says, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness as they that count it, like Moses. People that are in alternative lifestyles. I was picking up 2 small hat women, and they were talking about the rabbinical order, being a rabbi. And then one of them said, you can be under the rabbinical order and you can still be in a alternate lifestyle. So I didn't say nothing. I said, well, I'm not surprised at that, because the Most High is not dealing with these people. And then the law and the Torah, it speaks about, man with man, woman with woman. So this man is definitely the wicked one. And vocab Malone has nothing to say. He's not going to roll up on alternate lifestyle people. He's not going to roll up on a abortion clinic. He's not going to do that. It says, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that count it pleasure to riot in the daytime. And that's what Jake, you go to any hood, you got music playing, you got people on the corner, they drinking, they gunfire, you had gunfire in the air. Spots, they are and blameless, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feast with you. Oh, now this goes deeper. You got individuals in Israel that'll play the Israel thing, but then they're doing their wickedness when they're not around you. Well, like I said, adultery, having eyes full of adultery. In our community, adultery is pretty much a culture. That's part of the so-called black man, so-called Puerto Rican man, and the other tribes. That's part of their culture. Adultery is part of their culture, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls. Who's the beguiling unstable souls? The ones that fell out or getting ready to fall out. They can't stay with this thing because they're beguiling unstable souls. And anytime a guy is going to leave or know he's going to get kicked out, you know what he does? He tries to get to the ears of the others to try to bring them with him. And heart, they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bozor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. That's a whole nother topic. But was rebuked for his iniquity, the dumbass. So you can go back and read that. Anyway, that's talking about Jake. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put in the word enemy. Okay, that comes up over 100 times. I'm just looking. Okay, Deuteronomy 28, verse 57. And toward her young one that cometh out between her feet, and toward her children, which she shall bear, for she shall eat them. And this happened more than once. But the last major time that happened was during the time of 70 AD, when they put a trench around the city. Nothing could get in and nothing could go out. And they starved to death, so they committed the act of cannibalism. And cannibalism is coming back in America. It's going to get so bad in America, pursuant to 2nd Ezra 15, that they're going to go back to committing the act of cannibalism. The ones that preppers. She shall eat them for want of all things, secretly in the siege, and straightness, hardness, wherein thine enemy, who is thy enemy? The Romans at that time. And prior to that was the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the other nations, but it's talking about the Romans. Shall distress thee in thy gates, because they put a gate around your gate. They put a trench around your trench. Luke 19. Okay, what I want to do is I want to take the word enemy So if you are in a city, you're able to go in and come out, and the enemy builds a wall around your city to lock you in, where nothing could come in and nothing can come out. Do you supposed to love them? Well, I still love them. No, you're supposed to hate them, and you're supposed to seek a vengeance for them. So these guys at the IUIC, they should have broke it down to them. They'll say, yes, we hate. Are they enemies? And if they're enemies, are you supposed to love your enemies? Use the example of the Russia against Ukraine. There were some Ukrainian soldiers that captured some Russian soldiers, and what they did was they had them cuffed up. But what they were doing was they were torturing them, which is considered a war crime. So why were they doing it? They were doing it out of the hate. You know, one of their daughters could have been put to death, you know, bombed, you know, shot up or whatever. They came into their city, so they looking at them with hate. It's the hard heart that kills. You got to have hate to kill somebody. You kill somebody, there's hate in your heart, you know, indifferent for that person. You don't value his life because you hate him. So why did they keep running around, man? They should have just came straight and broke it down. They said, are they our enemies? Jesse Lee could have said, well, how are they your enemies? Well, number one, they're not the people. Then you go into the prophecies. You ask them whether they fulfill, what prophecy did they fulfill? What prophecy did they fulfill that they're being in the land of Israel? And if he knows the scriptures, one scripture he might pull out is, well, he might, if he says Ezekiel 37, they say, well, where's the rest of the tribes? If he says Isaiah 2 verse 2, or what is that, Micah 4 verse 2, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go to it just so I can get it right in my head, so I can read it right. Okay, let me bring another tab up. Let me just do this. Let me go to Micah. I believe it's Micah 2. If not Micah 2, it's Micah 4. Okay, it has to be Micah 4. Okay, peaceful latter days. And the precept that they give you is Isaiah 2 verse 2. So I'm gonna read this one first. Micah 4:1. And this is on the opposite side of the UN building. But in the last days, it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Most High shall be established in the top of the mountains. So this would have to be the fulfillment of the prophecy of them going back over it, right? It was fulfilled in 1948. And it shall be exalted above the hills. It shall be the top government. And people shall flow unto it. Ain't no, the people around the world are not flowing onto these small hats, and they're not keeping the laws. And there's wars going on. It said that many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, which is the land of Israel, and the house of the Most High of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. What's happening over there in the land of Israel? You got a place called Pink City, Tel Aviv, where look, there's all kind of alternate lifestyles going on. There's all kind of adulterous practices going on. You had a major, once a year in the summertime, you got a major alternate lifestyle parade, and you got the alternate lifestyle people from around the world that come over there for that parade. So how in the hell can that be a fulfillment of the true people coming back to the land? And we will walk in his path, meaning the laws. Ain't nobody learning. They ain't keeping the laws. For the Lord shall go forth of Zion and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Ain't no authority coming out of Jerusalem. They have a thing called a kibbutz. Look that up. You got the U.S. sending them billions of dollars every year. The weapons they have a fierce military, but where did they get the training from? The U.S. The fighter jets, and then they have made, invented weapons. Excuse me. So you ask Jesse Lee Peterson, did these people being in the land in 1948, does that fulfill? And they've been there for 70 plus years. So the kingdom should have been, well, it took a while. Well, look, it'll take a couple of years no, it's gonna automatically happen. When we come back into power, there's gonna be a complete change of worlds, and we're gonna be moving quick. Let me read a little bit more. And he showed judge, and he represents the chosen ones, shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their plows into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, because these other nations, we're going to put them back in their land in order. The only ones that's not going to have a land is Esau. They're going to be scattered among the Israelites. That's in Isaiah 14. And none shall make them afraid. That's the kingdom. Wait a minute. Aren't they afraid of the Palestinians? Aren't they afraid of terrorist acts? Aren't they afraid of hitting their head with a rock? Aren't they afraid of Hamas shooting a missile on them? So that's not the fulfillment. For the month of Yahweh of hosts have spoken it. The mouth of the Yahweh of hosts have spoken it. For all people will walk everyone in the name of his God. And that's not talking about the Most High. And we will walk in the name of our power, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And ultimately, they're going to follow the ways of our power. Our power forever and ever. In that day, saith Yahweh, will I establish her that halteth, and I will gather her, talking about Israel, because we're likened unto a woman, Jeremiah, I believe that's Jeremiah 6:2, that is driven out. Wait a minute, we were driven out. We were driven out, dispersed, and her that I have afflicted. So this is the answer, your question, Jesse Lee Peterson. Well, why are they doing so much better than you? You can read Deuteronomy 28, is a good chapter to read. And the word curse or curse is mentioned in there a bunch of times. We're under the curse as it is this day. There's a good a very good chapter right here. I'm not going to go all into it, but let me do this. Let me go to Deuteronomy. Matter of fact, let me go to enemies. And enemies. Enemies is in the scriptures 270 times and 264 verses in the KJV. So do we have enemies? Yes. Are you supposed to hate your enemies? Yes. Do your enemies hate you? Yes. It says, and blessed be the most high power, which have delivered thine enemies into thy hand. and he gave him tithes of all. Now, when you click and go a couple of verses up, this is the scholars call it the slaughter of the kings, where Abraham and his servants went and fought against the Canaanites and defeated them, because the Lord Yahweh was with Abraham. And by the way, Abraham came back as an Israelite. We were called sons of the Most High, Genesis 6, where it says, "And the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men." The sons of the Most High are the Israelites. They were just called the sons of the Most High. They were also called sons of Adam. Adama, meaning of the earth. The rich darkness of the earth. And that proves that we were so-called black people. So let me read that again. "And blessed be the Most High, the Most High power, which have delivered thine enemies." So there's hate involved in that, because Abraham and his servants killed them, "into thy hand, and he gave him tithes of all." Who did he give tithes of all? He gave it to Melchizedek, the king of Shalom. And that's Yahweh Shai. And how do we know that that's Yahweh Shai? Because the Apostle Paul explains it to him in the book of Hebrews. And the Apostle Paul explained it because the Lord showed him. He said, "Look, I'm Melchizedek." That was talking about me. And that proves right there, reincarnation is biblical. Let's read another one. I make it easy. Just put in the key word, Genesis 22, verse 17, "that in blessing I will bless thee." That's the sons of the Most High, ultimately called the Israelites. "And in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies." What does it mean by the gate? The gate means his living place. We're going to take Esau. We're going to take his land. Obadiah 1:18. We're going to burn them up, and then we're going to take their land. It says, "Benjamin shall possess Gilead." Genesis 49, verse 8. I would normally jump around, but these are good precepts. "Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren," and this is when you go to Genesis 49:1, Jacob, and what proves Jacob is a prophet. Jacob came back as Israel. So did Isaac. He came back as Israel. That's why the kingdom, it says in the kingdom you shall see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they're going to be sitting on thrones. They're not going to be sitting on a rock, because they're Israel, a son of the Most High. Adam was an Israelite, because what does it say in Luke the 3rd chapter? "And Adam, who was the son of the Most High," which proves that that's Yahweh Shai. He went off when he was Adam. He went off when he was Solomon, and he was perfect when he came as Yahweh Shai. Well, he was perfect when he came as Melchizedek. Genesis 49, verse 8, "Judah, thou art him whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies." So if you have your hand in the neck of your enemies, you choking them out. And what is that, an act of love? No, it's an act of hate. So these people hate us and we hate them. That's why they demonize us, because we're saying that we are the people and you're not. Well, these guys are a hate group because they're saying that they're going against the small hats. Well, we're going against the small hats because they're not the people. If somebody steals something from you, your car, and you see the car and you go after the guy and they call you hating, you go, "Why are you showing hate to this guy?" And you gonna say, "Because this nigga stole my fucking car, man." The people are not living in reality, but reality is going to come, man. This place is getting ready to be taken out. It says, thy father's children shall bow down before thee. This is a future prophecy. It said, thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. That's an act of hate in the future. Oh, in war, the law of war, if you defeat an enemy, you see a beautiful woman among that nation that you're fighting, you can take that woman and you allow her to mourn for her parents 30 days, and then you can go on into her and she becomes your wife, meaning wife goes back to the Hebrew word ayasha, which means woman. She becomes your woman. Exodus 1 verse 10, come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out and any war, they join also unto our enemies. So enemies has been in history from time immemorial and beyond, and fight against us, and so get them out of the land. So now when you go into the history of slavery, it was a British that promised the slaves that, look, we're gonna help to free you. And then the slaves said, okay, we're gonna fight on the British side. That's, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me put that in there. Wait for a minute. Slaves fought on the side of England. Let's see what comes up. Ooh. Slaves fought on the side of England in the 1600s. How enslaved men who fought for British were promised, what I say now, I'm going to prove it. I'll give you the receipts. So I just read that precept in Exodus, right? It says, when you're at war, if you're looking at the enemy with love, guess what? They're going to stab you in the back. They're going to blow your head off. They're going to play your ass. When you train when you go before basic training, the main thing that you're learning is how to hate the enemy. That's the enemy. That's the enemy. When you see him, you got to kill him. Extreme prejudice. That's another term. It says how enslaved men the hell, bear with me for a minute. Let me come back. Okay. It says how enslaved men who fought for the British were promised freedom because you don't want to be in slavery. That's why this man, when we say they're going into slavery, that's an act. You're not going to enslave somebody that you love. Romans 13 doesn't show ill to his neighbor. True love doesn't show ill to his neighbor. So what's the opposite of love? Hate. So they should have, if they didn't want to come out because they wanted to protect their disclaimer, they didn't want this guy to say, see, they're a hate group. No, we're a prophetic group. We're a group of people. We're a nation of people. Is every group or every nation, are they hate groups? Yeah. If they go to war with another nation, they learn to hate them. And then you have traitors. If you catch a traitor or a double agent, what do you do to that person? You kill them, because you're fighting on the side of your nation and you're siding with the side of the enemies behind our back, and we find out about it. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to show you hate by killing you. So what the hell are you talking about, man? And like I said, these guys were afraid, and I'm surprised at you, Deacon Thun. I'm surprised at you. You're going all around the world, man, not wanting to say I hate them. You said, well, are they the enemies? You see how easy it is when you take one word and you can build a whole doctrine around the word. It said how enslaved men who fought for the British were promised freedom. Why did they fight for the British, which were Edomites? Were they enemies to the British Edomites? No, because they said, look, we're gonna get you free, but you got to fight. That's what the movie Glory was all about. The former slaves didn't, or the slaves didn't actually hate the captain, the head guy, whatever his rank was. It was two Edomites. But when they fought against the South, they were busting them up in the name of hate. That very last scene when the South, the Confederate, not the Confederate, the enemy of the 13 colonies, when they came around that corner, man, you see them big ass beards, and they had guns, and they slaughtered them Jakes, including the Edomite. Because why? They didn't say, well, that's an Edomite, let's save him. No, they said kill him too, because they looking to kill. The Civil War was an act of hate. The Vietnam conflict was an act of hate. The Korean conflict, which is still, the war hasn't stopped. The war is still on. It's just under a DMZ, demilitarized zone. Because you got it's called a mirror of military men on one side and military men on the other side. It says, how enslaved men who fought for the British were promised freedom, while the patriots battled for freedom from Great Britain. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Upwards of 20,000 formerly enslaved people declared their own personal independence and fought on the side of the British. I don't got to read no more. I don't got to read no more. This is look. This clown JLP, Jesse Lee Peterson. Do you hate them? Of course, but we're not going to do nothing to them, because first of all, we're not in our power to do nothing to them. And number two, the Most High said, "Wait ye upon me." Ezekiel 25 and 12 verse down, it says, "Not according to your anger, but according to my anger and fury." Merely paraphrasing. So Jake that don't know what's going on, they're just not based in reality. And the Most High is going to take them out. Being ignorant is a sin. Being stupid is a sin. Okay, let me find this. Where the hell am I? Okay, here we go. Here we go. So let's go back to, I believe I left off at this. Is this the one, Exodus 23, verse 22? Let's see what that says. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies and an adversary unto thy adversaries. So you always had enemies. That's why the history of slavery never stops. There's slavery going on right now. I want to go back to Exodus 1, verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, the Israelites, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them out of the land. They didn't want them to leave the land. Israel is my son, even my firstborn. That never changed. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's what the scripture is talking about. Because what did the British do? They said, look, we're going to help you get free. We're going to free you, but you got to fight for us. And the slave said, okay, yeah, I want to kill them fucking slave owners any goddamn way. Because they whipped my back. They had me work in the field. They put me in boxes. And ultimately, this is what Esau, the elite, are afraid of. And that's why they want to demonize us. If you're on the bottom by another nation and you see the other nation getting weak, you look for advantages to help the nation go down and to destroy that nation and enslave them. Slavery will always be here. Let me say that again. Slavery will always be here. So guess what? You're getting ready to go into slavery. And see, this is how you should explain it to this guy. Because he's nothing but a coon. And one of the brothers brought out Psalm 139. Do I not hate them that hate thee, O Lord? I have a perfect hatred. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not going to go to it. Somebody could put it in there. Exodus 23, verse 27. I will send my fear before thee and will destroy all the people, the other nations, to whom thou shalt come. And I will make all thine enemies, the ones that hate you, and you hate them right back, turn their backs unto thee. Now, there's the reason why Balak called for Balaam to put a curse on Israel, because he was afraid of them. The same thing with Esau in Deuteronomy, the 2nd chapter, when they went over where Esau was, the Lord said, they're going to be, the Edomites, they're going to be afraid of you. Because that's what we came out of. We were 40 years in the wilderness. And so the Most High said, okay, now I got to bring you to the promised land. The Most High told the Israelite, the men, you got to take the land of Canaan and you got to kill the people. You got to kill the men, the women, and the children, and show no mercy. Don't marry them. Don't have your sons marry their daughters. Don't have your daughters marry their sons. Utterly detest them and utterly destroy them. That's hate. That's all you had to do, Deacon Frost or Deacon Asaph. That's all you had to do. And you look like you were nervous, man. You look like you were nervous. I'm waiting for you to come on the comment board and talk your shit on one of your many avatars. All you had to do was explain that to him. It's obvious that nigga's head ain't right. It ain't screwed on right. That's a major coon. Because he has love for this man. Because he's the original Uncle Ruckus. Exodus 30. See, I haven't jumped any because all of these are good. All of these precepts that I've been reading, man, are great. You know, look at that. I read all of them. What, 4, 5, 6 precepts? I haven't jumped not one. It says Exodus 32, verse 25. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, meaning they were committing sin, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. Leviticus 26, verse 7, another good precept. And ye shall, future tense, chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. What does that mean? You're going to run after your enemies. They're going to turn their backs. And I read that. Let me go back to that. Let me go back. Exodus 23, verse 27. I will send my fear before thee and will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come, and I will make all thine enemies in other nations turn their back unto thee. What does that mean? They're going to run. That's hip talk, parable talk for run. So it says here, Leviticus 26, verse 7, and ye shall chase your enemies, because they got their back towards you, because they're running from you. And they shall fall before you by the sword, meaning they're going to die by you killing them with the sword. And that's not an act of love. You're not going to be chopping their head off saying, this hurts me more than it hurts you. I'm doing this in love. I really love you. No, you're going to do it in hate. It's the hard heart that kills. Here's another one. These are great precepts, man. I haven't jumped one. Leviticus 26, verse 8. And 5 of you shall chase an 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight. Wait a minute. What can do that? Superheroes, man. Superheroes. So this clown vocab. So these guys, one guy said you can throw a tank. Look, we're going to be able to throw a mountain and not even touch it. Because you don't, look, the bottom line is this vocab. Nobody in Israel wants to deal with you because you're not on any level. You don't understand the scriptures. Them guys going to dress up like Superman, Superwoman, and they can throw tanks around. Of course, that's the least thing. Our babies be able to throw tanks around, man. And your enemies shall fall before you by the what? By the sword. What does that mean? That means you're going to chop them up like they chopped us up. One of my favorite precepts, I always go to that, Revelation 13, 9, and 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Vocab says, oh, that's not talking about what it says. Then what the hell is it talking about? Another, let's see what this precept says. Leviticus 26, verse 16. I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, and the burning, what is that? A goal. I gotta look that up. That shall consume the eyes, cause sorrow, heart, vain, for your enemies shall eat it. Okay, this is the enemies having the upper hand. Right, Leviticus 26, verse 32. And I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies, which dwell therein, shall be astonished at it. They're in the land of Israel right now. It says in what is that? Isaiah 1, verse 7. I believe that used the word enemies. Let me go to that. Isaiah. So if if you're simple, if you're not subtle, you'll just love everybody and get killed. Where was I going to go? Isaiah 1. Verse 7. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burnt with fire. And your land, strangers, other nations, devour it in your presence, and it is desolate as overthrown by strangers, other nations. So that the enemies did that. So they got to be burnt out of that land. Let me look at this one. There's so many of them. Numbers 10, verse 9. Let's see what that says. And if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpet, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your power, and ye shall be saved from your enemies. So the Lord doesn't love everybody. This is another good one. And now let me do this. Another good one. Numbers 24, verse 18. Edom shall be a possession, Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Let me look up the word valiantly. The word is kayal, strength, might, efficiency, wealth, army, strength, ability, efficiency, wealth, force, army. So we're going to be like an army. The Most High going to raise us up as an army. And that's what he did when we took down the land of Canaan. I was going to go to something. Let me do this. King of Edom. Numbers 20, verse 14, and Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel. So Moses is saying to the king of Esau, Edom, that we're brothers, because the same father and mother. Thou knowest all thy travails that have befallen us, how our fathers went down in Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried unto the Lord, he heard our voice and sent an angel. So you can read the rest of them. I'm gonna jump a couple of verses. 18 verse. And Edom said unto him, thou shalt not pass by me. Let me go to the 17 verse. Let us pass, I pray thee, brother, through the country. We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed thy borders. And Edom said unto them, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come against thee with the sword. I hate you, first of all. So this is the man that you always talk about why you can't be hating Esau. What the fuck you talking about? Born out of Edomite. But the Edomite can hate us? Are you out your damn mind? So the hell with a damn Edomite, man. And you should have explained it to Jesse Lee Peterson that they're Edomites and we're Israelites. The reason why we're on the bottom is because we're under the curse from the Most High, because our forefathers broke the law, statutes, and commandments. But the Most High is getting ready to lift us up again. Let me give you a couple more. I'm being long-winded. Come back one more. Okay, enemies. Peace. I put in the word enemies instead of enemy. Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 28 verse 7. The Lord Yahweh shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thee, thy face. Now this, anyway, it says the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. And shall be removed into all the kings on the earth. This is the main one that I want, and I'll close on this. Deuteronomy 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. The Lord Yahweh shall send against thee, that's the Romans, and that's Esau today, and hunger and thirst and nakedness and in the want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So, I mean, you could have just, come on, do a word search on the word enemies. And if you have an enemy against you, you're supposed to hate them. When you kill them, it's an act of hate. Anyway, with that, let me come back here. Remember this? I just read pretty much this right here. So there was a history of Jake fighting on the side of Esau, which were British, against the side of America during the time of the Revolutionary War. And that was out of hate. And the Most High getting ready to raise us back up again. And when this man gets taken down and he goes into captivity, that's going to be an act of hate. We ain't going to be loving him in the kingdom. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.